and share my screen with you. So here it comes. And then I need to take a moment and open up Eclipse. So if you remember the other day, what we wanted to do, if I recall, was we wanted to create a program that asked the user for their name, and we also asked them for, what else did we ask them for? 2 pieces of information. Their gross pay, thank you. And then based on the gross pay, we were going to determine what their estimated paycheck is going to be. And we got to this point where it worked. I am going to take the time to go over this again, because if you understand it conceptually, you're going to be set. You just got to, if you don't like to memorize, guess what? Neither do I. That's why I don't think I could ever take a Biology 1 class. This is too much memorization for me. I'm all about the concepts. So a class contains methods. So think about that. Here's the end of my class, and here's the beginning of my class, and inside of it is a method. So that means that there shouldn't be any actual code inside of my curly brackets. All code should go inside of my method, because methods contain blocks of executable code. All right? So again, classes contain methods which are related to one another. Methods contain the blocks of executable code that perform a single function typically. Now, one of the things that we did is we needed to import a helper library, java.util.scanner. So that got imported. And then we set up that object right here. This is the identifier of that object. It's called kbn. And it's of type scanner. We also talked about data types the other day. We said there are a variety of data types and that Java is a strongly typed language. That means whatever the container is, we have to make sure that we put in there what type of data is going to go into it. I would like to take a moment and explain operating systems context switching for Micah's benefit. Context switching in an operating system are the time slices that go by between when you switch from one process to the other process. And that context switching is all wasted time. All right? In a human being's world where we cannot multitask, when you're on your phone doing whatever you're doing on your phone and then coming back to switch back to me, you have all that wasted time to bring yourself back up to speed. All right? I want you to take that lesson forward with you. We are addicted to our phones. The best way to become unaddicted is put them away during the 50 hours that you're paying me to teach you. All right? Yes, I called you out. Don't like it? Get over it, because I do it all the time. Okay. So the next thing will come in, and I set up a couple different things, and this all worked. We ended up saying, please print your name. We got the input, put it into the variable called name, which is of type string. We asked for the gross pay. We put that into gross, which is of type double. It's an indicator when we use that scanner object. We type in kbn, that's the name of our object, and we hit the period. It brings up a variety of methods. I'm just using terminology. If you don't fully understand it, it's okay. All right? I hit the dot, and it brings up the next double. That means it's going to help me grab that double from the user. And then I do the processing. I say deductions equals gross times 0.30, and net equals gross minus deductions. And then we print all that out. Now, when we printed this out, we had to print it out line by line. And if only we had a way to print it out all together. Well, it turns out we do. We have these things called overloaded operators. All right? And Java's overloaded operator is a plus symbol. All right? It's a plus when we're doing processing. 1 plus 1, right? It's overloaded because it can be used two different ways depending on the context of the use. We also refer to it as a concatenating operator. All right? So what we're capable of doing is in one fell swoop, we could actually print all of this out. So I want to show you how to do it. And if you're like, but Mike, I don't fully get it, that's okay. Don't do it that way. So you would say system.out.println. If it ever starts doing everything. And then we say literal hi, concatenate to that. So plus name, concatenate to that. You with me? The literal, your estimated net pay check is. And then we would concatenate to that the variable net. Whoops, not a dot. I'm sorry, a plus. And by the way, a dot is a concatenating operator in some languages. That's why I accidentally did that. So again, this is called an overloaded operator, meaning that depending on the context in which we're using it, it can do two different things. All right? I'll have to unlock that for you real quick. All right? Did you switch computers and didn't realize it? Is it logging in? Okay. So I just kind of wanted to show you that. And if we run this, we'll see down here in the bottom, Mike 1000. And now it says it twice. And that's okay. We could change this one to a print line if we wanted, or we could comment everything out. So // is a line comment, / star starts a block comment, and / ends a block comment. So we can put different comments in. So I took out that beginning one. All right. Notice how it says, hi Mike, your, so I want to put a space right there. I want to change that. I'm going to run it again, and I'll see that it has changed. And that's all called debugging. All right. Do you have any questions about what we have here? This is all review. Took 5-6 minutes to review and added a little new thing in. Everybody good? Okay. The next thing that I want to do is I want to allow a user to repeat this process multiple times, right? Without clicking run every time. So I want to take and I want to put in a loop. The first thing I need to do is decide what the body of my loop is, and we did that the other day. The body of my loop is going to start where I'm asking the user for input, and the end of my loop is going to be after I output to the user, but I also have to add an additional output. I need to ask the user if they would like to do something again. All right? So we'll come in here, and I'll go nice and slow, and if you have questions, let me know. So right here, I'm going to say do, curly bracket. Now remember, curly brackets contain blocks of code, lines of code, something that goes together. If we open it, we got to end it. So as soon as I open that, I'm going to come down below here, and I'm going to end it. All right? I want to put a curly bracket in down here, but I need to put something else in. I'm going to say while. All right? So do the following. Do, notice how that lines up. Do while what? Well, while again, which is going to be a variable that we have not declared yet, is not equal to a capital X, and while it's not equal, and while again is not equal to a lowercase x. And I'm going to explain all this to you, and then we'll put a semicolon. Just because just hold on, don't freak out over that little red X over here. There's a reason that's there. Here, I'll release it and see if it comes back up for you. Good? Yep. Now you should just be able to move that over. You can move that wherever you want. There you go. All right. The reason this little error is here is it's saying, well, I don't see where again is being utilized. We did declare it up here because I told you in the beginning when I want to put it in, but we're not actually utilizing it. So what we need to do is inside of my loop. So how do I know if I'm inside of my loop? I make sure I'm inside my curly brackets, right? I want you to create an output statement that says, would you like to use the program again? Press X to exit, any other key to continue. Go ahead and do that. You know how to do that. Output to the user a prompt, a statement that says, would you like to use the program again? Enter X to exit, any other key to continue. What's up, Abel? You okay, man? Did you get lost somewhere? You were here the other day, right? What happened? Where are you lost at? Okay, so it should look something like this. Now you also know how to capture that input for again. We've done it before up here with name. But our scanner, our KBN, is going to act a little funky, and I'll explain it to you. We're going to say again equals KBN dot. Now as soon as I bring that up, I want to select next. I want to do next. Okay? I want to say next, parenthesis, dot care at 0. And then I want to put a semicolon on the end of that and close it. It's going to be the first time you hear this. I would write it in my notes if I were you. The user is prompted, please enter a character to continue X to exit. Java technically will look at whatever the user inputs. Super duper cool. I told Java, only look at the character at position 0 in my array of characters. That's where the 0 is. So it's only going to focus on that S. That is position 0. That's the very first thing. It's going to ignore everything else. If you don't do that, it's going to try and take it all into consideration, and it's going to say, wait a second, I'm just looking for an X. You understand? So that's why we do that. I don't fully expect for you to remember that. This is one of those things where we know we want to do something. It's in our pseudocode. All we have to do is figure out how to do it with code, right? And don't think that I just come up with all this stuff magically. It takes me time. I have to research it. I have to actually prep for classes and think about what I'm going to talk about in class, right? So when we run this at this point, I'm hoping you have a basic idea what's going on. I'm going to run it, enter your name, Mike. 1000. Hi, Mike. Your estimated paycheck is $700. You know, I wish I had a $sign on there. I'm going to go back and fix that in just a minute. Press, please enter X to exit, any other key to continue. If I put a 1, I get to say it again. Mike. Uh-oh, I got a problem. I'm sorry, what? No, I don't know why. I'm not sure what happened. I want to run it again here. I don't know why it is. You got it?
Is it because you X on the last statement?
Uh-uh.
You got one cat and one not here.
So why do you think I did that? That's a good observation. Why do you think I did that? I did that for the user, in case the user enters a lowercase instead of an uppercase, so it accepts any kind of an X. But what I don't understand is why it's going back and saying, please enter your name, and then accepting that, and then doing gross pay. So I'm not sure why it's doing that. And this is where I typically say, hey, expert programmers such as Jordan, do you see an error in my code? Why is it doing that? Still doing it. That works. Hit exit, it exits out. That's kind of neat. That's a new feature of Eclipse to do that. That's kind of neat. I got a sneaking suspicion that I know why. It may be because I have this string. It should just be paying attention to that character there. I want to reorder my stuff and see if that fixes it. It might actually blow up my program. And if it does, I'm going to stop, and I could explain it, but I'm going to stop. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this. I don't know what's going on. It was working just fine, and now it's really blowing up.
Maybe it's just the next line command. What if it was just next instead?
Oh, yeah, good call. Let me try that.
Because mine just uses...
Yours just using next?
Yeah.
Yeah, that might be it.
But then you can't have, like a space in the name or anything.
Yeah, that's okay. I don't need a space. Yeah, that was it. Thank you, Spencer. So if you had next line there, just change it to next. And it should work. Now, Spencer, I got to remember that for the next class because I don't think anybody has programming experience over there. Okay, so this is what I want to do. If everybody's good with this, it's time to create a new program. I want to create a program that allows the user to enter a number to count to. Program uses a loop to start at 0 and count up to user input. Right? So, who wants to be my program? Micah? You want to be my program? All right, you're my program. So you start and you ask me what? Well, you're going to say, what do you want to count to, right? And then after that, what do we need to do? You're in control, so whatever you want. Set counter, right? Do we know how to translate those two lines of code? Absolutely. Now, based on that, Bailey, you're going to do what? So let's say that I give you 5. You just do it. Don't tell me, don't think about it. What do you do? There you go. I want to add 1 to whatever was previously until I get to the counter. I want to start at 0 and count up. So I'm going to go 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, printing out as I go. We understand the problem. We're working on it. We get some input. We print it out. So now we're into the processing. Now this is also going to be a processing and output. All right? So it's going to kind of do two things. This was our input. We're going to use a loop to achieve this. What kind of a loop do you want to do? Do you want to do a while loop, or do you want to do a do while loop, or do you want to do a for loop? You've seen a do loop. Kind of understand that. You want to try a for loop? Everybody's like, I don't know. All right. So we'll try a for loop. So we're just going to write it in. We're going to say for, okay? And the way that it works is we're going to set our starting point. And I'm going to call that I. All right? And then the next thing that I do is I set my continuation condition. In this case, it's while counter is less than or equal to user input. Okay, I should say while I is less than or equal to user input. And then the next thing I do is my increment. And this is just how we set it up, and we're just going to say I plus plus there. Can you imagine having to think your way through all of this while you're trying to set up your program? How horrible is that? All right? So our for loop goes this way. The first thing we put in here is we set our starting point. In this case, I is equal to 0. The next thing we do for our for loop is we set our continuation condition. So how are we going to keep doing whatever the body of my loop is? Well, I'm going to keep counting while I is less than or equal to the user input. Right? And then the last thing is I'm going to increment I, because I want to count through. I want to start at 0 and then go to 1, then 2, then 3, then 4, then 5. That would be the user input. And we're going to do that by saying I plus plus. That's like saying I equals I plus 1. That's exactly what we're saying. All right? Then it's real easy. You output the value of I. You know how to do that. So you print I. Okay? You ready to try it out? What do you think? Yeah? Can you imagine trying to do this all in the code at the same time? Because everybody's looking at me like I got horns growing out of my head right now. And you're like, what the hell? Just making a quick program. So create a new program called first for or first loop. We should be able to whip this out. First loop. We know how to make projects real easy. I want to create a new class inside of there. I want to call it my for loop. I'm going to not forget to click on public static void main. I'm immediately going to comment end main method and end class my for loop. I'm going to consciously remember that classes contain methods and methods contain blocks of executable code. I've identified that I need to get user input. So in my mind I say, all right, I got to set it up with a scanner. So I want to come over and I want to copy that out of the input file over here. Right here, import Java. And I want to jump back over here and I'll put that up at the top. Now, how was it that I created that scanner? If I can remember, you should type it in. Scanner KBN equals new scanner system in. You should really do that. Scanner KBN, that's my identifier, equals new. Oh man, I can't remember the rest of it. What is it? Scanner system.in. Oops. Come over and see if I got it right or wrong. System in. Again, this is called object instantiation. That's just a technical word for we've created it. All right? Yep. Michael, can you help me? If not, I'll come back. Neighbors help neighbors. All right. I want to identify any variables that I need immediately. Well, I do. I need counter immediately. And I'm going to make counter just an integer. So I'm going to say int equals counter. Now there is a problem with counter. The largest int I can use is about 2 billion. All right? There comes that finite state. There comes that finite state machine coming back to get us. An integer, that data type, can only contain a positive number of about 2 billion and something and a negative number of about 2 billion and something. That's a signed number, meaning it has a plus or a minus. So the next thing I got to translate for you now, right? I want to translate for. I need something about I and starting what our starting point is. I'm going to do inline declaration. I'm going to say int I equals 0. Right? That means I want to start at 0 for my counter. The next thing is, what's my continuation condition? Well, I want to continue while I is less than or equal to counter. By the way, I forgot to actually get the user input up there. I'll come back up and get that in just a minute. And the last thing is I need to increment I. I want to say I equals I plus 1. Another way to do that, I can say I plus plus. It's giving me a warning that I haven't collected anything for counter. So I want to set that up. Damn it. There we go. And then I want to say counter equals kb in dot. Look at that, next int. I'm going to come back down to my for loop. So I'm out of time. I'm going to run this. And then somebody needs to remind me to go over it a little bit better on Friday for you. I'm counting. I'm counting. I assigned various homework. If you haven't started on it, make sure you start on it. If you have yet to subscribe to Canvas's awesome notifications, you probably need to do that because it'll notify. You can select how you want to be notified through Canvas, but you need to make sure that you've done that. All right. Yeah. Yep. It'll be up on my YouTube as soon as it's available, like the other one was. Sound good? That's it. Class is done. Yes.